system. They can levitate and pass the walls.
Hi, thank you for watching. Jared Hood. Still don't have a name for this. Keep saying I should get a name. Probably should get a name. If you got a suggestion and you're watching, thank you for watching. And please send me your suggestions. So today, I'm going to talk about quarterbacks in the draft. So the big topic when it comes to draft usually is quarterbacks. And the reason I want to make a video myself on it is because over the last, I wouldn't say 10 years, but close to 10 years, I've had a lot of hits and I've had a lot of misses on prior podcasts or whatever you want to call video casts, whatever you want to call things that I've done in the past with friends. And I've always found it to be fun when I broke the quarterbacks down. It usually gets the most, usually gets the most attention, obviously, because quarterback's the most important position in football. This year it's getting more attention than usual because the last couple years, the best way to put it is there's been more quarterbacks thrown at the dartboard than not. A lot of that has to do because of contracts, and I won't bore you with the contract talks that made us get to this point, but it is a very interesting avenue how that happened. And so, but basically, more quarterbacks are being taken at a higher rate of speed early in the draft because they're easier to get rid of and they're cheaper to hold on to if you want to hold on to them long term. Like over what you had to pay for them in a 7-year span now is like a third of what you had to pay for them in a 7-year span if they ended up being good back when, like, let's say Peyton Manning came into the league. Not really, but kind of. It's hard to explain. If you're looking at percentages of the cap, it makes more sense. Anyways, over the years, I myself have talked about these quarterbacks that are coming out, and I have some really, really good hits like Russell Wilson, right? I kept saying that I thought he was going to be much better than RG3 long term. I didn't really have anything against RG3. I myself was behind on the RG3 thing. I think if RG3 stayed healthy, I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's Cam Newton. I'm not saying he might even be as good as Russell Wilson ended up being. And my prediction might have still been correct. But if he would have stayed healthy, he was too early. He was just too early. I mean, that's just really what it was. I know Cam's a different version, and he was in around the same time. But RG3 was just in the NFL too early. And that's credit to Shanahan's, who see that stuff. I mean, they kind of really help move the mobile quarterback along. Anyways, point being, ones I missed on, Johnny Manziel is probably easily the one that, my good friend makes fun of me for the most. And I deserve it because I was like, yeah, I think he's going to be really good. Now, I really like Kyler Murray. I thought that coming out of college is one of my favorite that I've ever seen. I liked Baker. I thought he should have been the number one overall pick. It was not a surprise to me when they said that the Browns were talking about making him the number one pick. I was like, yeah, I thought I genuinely was going around saying I thought he was going to be the number one pick. So, again, hits, misses. I'm not saying Baker's a hit. Just different things when it comes to hit and misses as well. Not always predicting that they're going to be good, or maybe I just predict that they go to the right place. So things like that. I try not to predict where they're going. The reason I was saying Baker is because I genuinely felt Baker was the best quarterback that year. So that's hopefully I explained that well enough. If I did not, hopefully going through this, you at least understand my point of view on the current quarterbacks. So coming into this draft, April 29th will be the draft. It is kind of an unprecedented year for, as we were talking about, just throwing quarterbacks at a dartboard, but usually you don't get to, usually there's not conversation that 3-4 quarterbacks are going 1, 2, 3, 4. Like it's usually they're saying at least almost guaranteed 1, 2, 3, and then who knows? It could be 4, could go 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, never seen that before. So interesting if that was the case. Also wanted to do this. I wrote out how I felt about these quarterbacks about a month ago because basically during the college football season, is where I kind of make my assessment and how I feel about these guys. Obviously, I go back and watch more tape, and I watch the YouTube videos, and I don't get me wrong, I do check out the pro days, but I don't put any stock in pro days. I think that what they're doing in t-shirt and shorts means absolutely nothing. If you didn't think they could do it with the pads on and the helmet, then I don't understand how you think that they can do how you think they're better at football, or you didn't think they were that good, but now you're going to elevate them. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like how do you think they weren't really good at football? Now they're doing stuff in t-shirt and shorts, and now you think they are good at football? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. So I usually kind of form my opinions on these guys throughout that, and then I try to watch a little bit of different things that they did, if not highlight tapes, maybe games, whatever, different film things, quote unquote. Now I don't have it all 22 or anything like that, but I do try to go back and see what they do. So hopefully, um, if you don't agree with me, hopefully you can put something in the comments and let me know. But all right, so if I had to rank them 1 through 5, I think a lot of people right now, the conversation is about Mac Jones and Justin Fields, and I think that is crazy because if I had to rank them 1 through 5, is Trevor Lawrence number 1 for me, Fields number 2, and I think it's those two and then a wide gap. And you could go Zach Wilson, or Trey Lance, or Mac Jones, and you could. I think it's kind of all interchangeable. I do think Zach Wilson might be a tick above the other two, and I will get to that. So let me just start off with, and I think there's other guys too you can get later in the draft. I'm not saying they're turn out to be like Dak Prescott, or a late round, hit, but you got guys like Kellen Mond and Ian Book in this draft too to look out for in later rounds. So first round though, first overall going, Trevor Lawrence, and I didn't evaluate or watch this close enough. I was a little kid when Peyton Manning got drafted. But Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, like those are the two only locks that you ever hear from scouts. And when I saw Andrew Luck in college, I did agree with what the scouts were all saying about how they felt like he was just blah blah blah. I do feel like Trevor Lawrence is, if he's not on their level of where they were coming out of college, I'm not saying he's going to be Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck. I'm saying to me, he's right there with them coming out of college. The way that I viewed them, the way that I viewed Andrew Luck coming out of college, the way that scouts view Peyton Manning coming out of college. That is how I view Trevor Lawrence, like next level talent. I feel like he reads defense extremely well. He played in a really good pro system. I mean, Deshaun Watson, different conversation right now, but you could see what he did coming out of college on the football field, and it translated so easily and so quickly. And Trevor Lawrence, as a freshman, won them. I mean, he was just incredible. And coming out of high school, his talent was just incredible and raw. So the only thing that, to me, it might be he. Not I want to say he was bored, but he was able to. His mechanics are a little iffy at times, right? Because I think to me it was because he plays at Clemson and he was like, my third read's at least going to be open, right? Like someone on this field is going to be open. I know that because I play at Clemson and we're better than everybody else. That's why I picked to play here. And my talents make sure that I will get the fifth read and will hit him if he's open, and he's going to take it 30, 40 yards. So point being is I think he could kind of just be a little lackadaisical. In the NFL, you can't be lackadaisical all the time. I'm interested to see how that transitions. Like his footwork at times was just sloppy, I guess is the best way to put it. And sometimes his throws weren't always at the right shoulder or, leading a receiver type stuff. So we'll see about how that goes moving forward. If he can't do that moving forward in the NFL, if he can't, tighten those things up, he's not going to be a Peyton Manning. He's not going to be an Andrew Luck. He'll probably be closer to a Kirk Cousins, if that makes sense. So we will see moving forward. But right now, he's on that level coming out of college, and I'm excited to see how that translates, especially because I'm not an Urban Meyer guy. I don't like necessarily Urban Meyer, the person, but there's no question. You can't deny what he does as a coach. Who he is as a coaching, how he really, his quarterbacks have been pretty proven in college as well. So that's a whole different storyline, a whole nother thing. And it's somebody was saying the other day on one of the national radio shows that they don't think he would have taken, and I forget, it was a guest if I'm not mistaken. I forget. I'm all over the place. Listen to podcasts, radio shows, what city, like a bunch of Philadelphia podcasts. I bounce around, and I apologize that I can't credit who this was because it was a really smart thing that they said. They said that they don't think Urban Meyer would have maybe taken the job if Trevor Lawrence wasn't available. Like if the number one pick would have been Trevor Lawrence. I think I absolutely agree with that statement. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is, though, if that makes sense. Really nothing else I can add to the conversation that's going to convince you one way or the other. If you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of those guys, Yeah, if you don't, you don't. I mean, I'm not adding. I understand. I'm not going to add anything to that. The Justin Fields thing, for me, I think he reads the field extremely well. Like, I know that was the conversation. I think Dan Orlovsky on Twitter did a really good job of breaking it down. He has a good video out there. He does great with quarterbacks, I think, for the most part. There's things I disagree with him, but I think he breaks down his point really well, usually. That's the best way to put it. But, anyways, he did a really good one with Justin Fields because I feel the same way that he does. Justin Fields' raw talent was able to get him, like, when he saw the third read at the last possible second and just he threw that heave at the third read. But that's because he was able to get the first two reads when somebody was coming at him. He also, I personally feel like there was a lot of moments where he did some stuff that it was like, I could pass here for 12 yards, but I'm going to run for 7. Um, or because he knew he'd get the 7 yards, like right then and there. Or, like, there was just different certain things, like if he was a little more patient. So he could have gotten 12 instead of 7. I guess that's a better way to put it. If he was more patient, things like that. So decision making, it's not that it's bad. It's that it's right there. Like he's doing the right thing, but there is something that can get you a little further. And those, just like Trevor Lawrence, something like that, that's going to be the difference between college and the NFL. Because that 7 yards is now going to be 3 or 4 yards in the NFL running, and you still can probably get 8 to 12 yards with the pass on some of these plays that I'm trying to articulate. But to me, like, he just has super raw talent. Inconsistent throws. So the raw talent, like I said, bails him out where you can just third read, throw it up, boom, got the guy on the run, right? But sometimes he's supposed to throw it here on the field and it goes 4 or 5 yards here. The accuracy on the deep ball is not always right there, right? Sometimes the tight windows aren't always there, but he's thrown enough in the tight windows and on the sidelines that I do believe in him. The other side of it is, so you get all that stuff where I was saying the raw talent and he can read a defense. It's that slight, edge of getting a couple extra yards, and he can do that. I think he can elevate his game right there. The other thing that I think separates him from everybody else, right? All that right there. His raw talent is the main thing to me that puts him closer to Trevor Lawrence and the other guys. The other thing to me is like his drive, his motor, his intangibles, his leadership, whatever you want to call it. He just there's something there's guys, there's quarterbacks that you see that when they talk, like you just know right away, like, all right, that's a guy you want leading your team. Like that's a guy you want under center. That's a guy you want that you trust with the game on the line because he trusts himself type stuff. Excuse me once again. So things like that, like I really, really do think that's another part of his game that separates him from a lot of the other quarterbacks. On this list. Now, all these quarterbacks have confidence. You're not playing at this level if you don't have confidence. So I just want to make that clear as well. Third guy I would have on my list, and this is just also based off of raw talent, because I think you can make an argument with Trey Lance, and I'll get to him in a second, or Mac Jones. But Justin Fields, the raw talent I'm talking about, can throw across his body. Zach Wilson can also 20 yards on a dime throw across his body. Like stuff that you've only really seen these new age quarterbacks do. You don't see a lot of you can see a lot of the great ones back in the day doing it, but like now you see a lot of guys be able to do stuff like that. Like things that I'm just yelling at high school coaches every Friday because I'm watching them roll a guy out and have him throw across his body and can't do it. That's becoming a new normal in the NFL. That guys can just do that, and that's huge. That is just incredible. It separates so much. It makes it so much harder for defenses when your quarterback can roll out either way and make it work. He can throw it as far as you need him to. His raw talent is right there, and I don't have a whole lot to knock about him. His mechanics are good. I felt like his footwork is good. I felt like I think that if you draft Zach Wilson, you have an opportunity. You really do have an opportunity moving forward to be a good football team. So interested to see. It sounds like the Jets at 2 are going to take him. We will see about that for sure. It's going to be. I think what they did by moving Sam Darnold was the smart. I had more time to think about this. My last video, I talked about it. I think what they did was smart. They extended their opportunity for life at the block with a quarterback, like life like you're able to, your salary cap only has so much, so you're able to always pay your quarterback this much for the next couple of years. And with Sam Darnold, you're going to have to make that decision after this year. If you want to roll with Zach Wilson, I get it, and I get that overall. It sounds like the split was like real close. Like it sounds like everybody in the Jets organization was either way on it, but it just went just slightly like, yeah, we got to move on from him, and it makes sense. So wanted to clear that up as well because I feel like in the last video I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure at the time. I needed more time to really sit on it. I think I thought I was kind of like, it wasn't a good trade, but I disagree with what I said in my last video. I really think that you're sold on a quarterback. I've said this for years in the draft. If you're sold on a quarterback, you got to do it. You got to get him then. And if they're sold on Zach Wilson, then don't waste your time and try to just. And it works out. Sam Darnold's in a much better situation. I think he's going to ball. I really do. Do have a sponsor. We do. Thank you to Be Kind Boutique. We are presented by Be Kind Boutique. We will find the kindest handcrafted soap and body care. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter for details about our Mother's Day 2021 gift box set featuring an exclusive champagne and pearl body bar. Give Mom the gift of kindness this year. Links to join our Facebook group, shop online, or our catalog will be in the description below. So that is Be Kind Boutique. We have 2 soaps from them. This one is Love is Love Body Bar. It smells really, really good. I'm a hippie, so I love colors and stuff like that. Looks awesome. So definitely there. So hopefully you guys can read that. I'm not really able to. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry. But yeah, so that's that one. And we have another one. It is called Courting Season. Like back in much, much, much older times. Oh, I think we're covering on the label, so maybe this wasn't. I apologize if you can't read that one that well, but this one smells really good. Looks good too. A lot of handwork at the top. Look at that detail. Hopefully you guys can see it really well. So awesome. Be Kind Boutique, please get some soaps. Awesome soaps. They feel great, smell great. Moving on back to quarterbacks. These quarterbacks could probably, if they want to endorse our soaps, like I ain't got a lot of money, but I'm not Old Spice out here. We can. I know the owner. Last thing I wanted to say about Zach Wilson, he pops off on the tape. Like he really does pop off on tape. And his footwork is A+. He makes all the throws. He reads defenses really well. So I do think, like I said, raw talent is there. He could be with everybody. So, anyways, Mac Jones, another guy. During the season and the national championship, especially right after the national championship, the conversation was like, "Oh, can he be a first-round quarterback?" And it seemed like the overall consensus was like, "Nah, not really." And all of a sudden, he shot up the charts. I thought that he could be a first-round quarterback back then, and here's why. He steps up in the pocket. He's like just mobile enough. Yeah, he played with some of the best receivers in college football, maybe ever. But he was always finding them. This was the most complex system, I think, passing-wise, because he is, a pocket passer that Sarkisian and Alabama, Saban in general, all of them put together. So I think this was like the most complex or NFL style, I guess, offense. I think Mac Jones does everything that you need. Like he's not. He also pops off tape. Like there wasn't. He made every throw. I thought. I've seen him make every throw. He seems like he's always basically making the right decision. Like they were blowing teams out, and it was looking that easy. Yes, because they had all those guys, but somebody had to throw them the ball, and somebody had to make those right decisions to do that. And somebody had to. I mean, he didn't look like he missed a step from Jalen Hurts or Tua. I think Jalen Hurts and Tua are both NFL caliber quarterbacks. He didn't miss a step in my mind that when I was watching compared to those two. So that's, I guess, the best way for me to explain it. Like, I genuinely think he's right there. A plus footwork. His pre-snap as well. That's another thing I want to talk about. A lot of these guys coming out of college, nothing against Field. Trevor Lawrence is good pre-snap. Justin Fields is good pre-snap. Mac Jones was exceptional in my mind pre-snap, especially in you want to say like the last 4 or 5 games in the season, right? Like that definitely, obviously the playoff game against Notre Dame and the national championship. Mac Jones pre-snap was just, I felt like it was NFL caliber ready, and that is, I think, a really big thing when you're talking about taking that next step. He's able to be calm and understand the presence and see different things and packages and I know the quote unquote the Sam Darnold thing I'm seeing goes. That's because he wasn't able to pre-snap diagnose what was going on. Where Mac Jones, I felt like in college was doing that extremely well. Maybe that's coaching. Maybe they had the playbook, so they just were able to tell him, "Hey, this happens, and you got to do this." Blah blah blah. Hopefully, it translates, and he's still able to get that and moving forward because what he did pre-snap is part of the reason why he was able to make it look so easy. So we will see. We will see. I felt like at the time it was a toss up. Like I felt like he is good enough to be a quarterback in the NFL, but I don't think he's a home run. I think that there's absolutely questions when you get him as can he be the one to pull you? Like he never had to pull Alabama out of a bad situation. He never had to be just the guy to grit this. He had, like Justin Fields had to just he had a couple games where he just had to do it. Or Trevor Lawrence, when he was a freshman, he proved at times that he could just do it, right? Wilson at BYU, there was plenty of games that it was just him doing it. So that's the best way to put it. Like hadn't seen that from him, so hadn't had to see that from him. Haven't had to, so it's not necessarily a fair criticism, but it's a knock. It's to be determined, and I think it's a reasonable one. I do. The Trey Lance. Okay, so I did try to watch as much as I could on him, but the only thing I can really say about him because I get a better feel for these guys real time when I'm watching these games and like going back and watching the film and stuff. He has everything that everyone's talking about. Like he has all the intangibles, the talent, everything. He does have everything that everyone's saying that it's like why he's in this conversation. Here's how I can explain it to people who watch sports like I do. I've never heard of a quarterback from Division II leaving college early to go to the NFL. I've never heard of any player doing that. More or less, a quarterback leaving Division II to go to the NFL, and he's in conversations of maybe being a top 5, top 10, top 15 pick. That's all I need to know about him. Like, there's something there, right? They're throwing him in this class, and I could see it all. Like all the tape does look good, but I think that's impressive that at minimum. So again, I don't know if he's ever had to be just like the guy. Like at North Dakota State, they're the Alabama of Division II, right? So it's very Mac Jones like. But you can't be the quarterback of either of those schools without being good enough, at least, and having in high school the look of a possible NFL quarterback. Is that the best way to put it? I hope it is. So, like I said, deeper in the draft, you got guys like Kellen Mond. I think Kellen Mond could be a good quarterback. I don't. Again, he's not going to be a top 5, top 10, not going to be a first round pick for a reason. But I think that, yeah, I don't want to make the Dak comparisons, but why not? Yeah, he could be a Dak Prescott like career where he comes in and gets thrown into the right situation and does really well, and then is able to make himself off of the work like Dak did into a pretty top tier quarterback, right? A top 10 quarterback. So Ian Book, I got to put on for my guy Ian Book. Anybody who knows me knows I love Notre Dame football. Look, he's a winner. He pulls them. He pulled them. I watched him pull them out of games. I get it. He has a lot of talent, but like there was a lot of games where like he just didn't bring it, and he made all the throws. He did the right thing. He's mobile. He is. He's able to run better than most of the quarterbacks that are coming out. He can make every throw you need. I think that it's deserved that Notre Dame has a bad reputation at quarterbacks, but I think that he could be a very special guy. I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or any, like, Drew Brees or anything like that, but I do think that he can make a good, solid career. Carson Palmer, would be kind of career, right? Kirk Cousins type stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. I got to put on for my guy in book. There's other quarterbacks in this draft definitely that I think able to get, but I do think I went to enough. Last thing I want to say about the Justin Fields thing, just because it's getting pounded on. I'm telling you, like the things that they said about Lamar Jackson, a quarterback, and I know there was the famous he should be a wide receiver quote, but take that quote out. What they were talking about Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, they're saying the same things about Fields, right? So I do. I genuinely think he can be a guy, and I think it's a silly conversation to have Mac Jones above him or Zach Wilson above him. I genuinely do think that it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and him when it all shakes out years down the road. So we will see. Thank you for watching. Definitely more videos to come. We'll be talking NBA because the playoffs are coming up. So definitely just more things. Draft will be coming up. Maybe I'll talk about the draft. Maybe we'll do a little Eagles conversation about maybe what they do in the draft. And hopefully Phillies conversation's not playing well at the moment. We'll see. Hopefully they turn that around. But thank you for watching, Jared.